I mentioned before how people interpret your message depends on how you come across to them. But one thing to keep in mind is an effective communicator must always realize it is their almost sole responsibility to make sure your message gets across clearly to the listener. If the listener's not interested in listening, you can't effectively communicate to them. But one of the biggest challenges that we have a problem with is that sometimes we just assume that people understood when we spoke to them. We think we were clear. We used the right words. We might even used a good tone. And we might even have an effective body language. But it is up to them as how they're going to interpret your message. Sometimes we even ask, well, did you understand? Do you understand? Sometimes, and they will usually say, of course, because they understood English, they understood your words, they even nodded their heads to indicate they understand. But the thing is you are still just assuming. To really make certain that your communication is clear, not only must you be aware of where that communication comes from, but you must ask for them to reflect back or repeat back what you said to them, or else you really have no idea what they actually heard. And you certainly don't have a chance to fix it if there was a miscommunication unless they reflect back in such a way they might say, so what I believe you're trying to tell me is, or so what I think you're trying to say is, or I believe that you want me to do this. And if that person can say, yes, that's what I want, now you know the communication is clear. But that is the only way that you can know you've been effective. And yet people have a problem saying that. As a matter of fact, there are some people who tend to get really defensive when you ask them to just repeat back what you said. Because what would they be thinking? Imagine yourself, if you are asked or given information and they go through this discussion with you, and then they ask you to repeat back what they just said to you, what might you be thinking? And the key is, of course, is that they don't get the purpose. They think you're belittling them, that you're making fun of them, that you're disrespecting them, that you think they're some sort of an idiot. But the fact is, you must get them to reflect back what you want them to say. But when should you let them know that you want them to repeat this back? The key is you always ask them to repeat it back before you ever get into the conversation, before you give them directions. You let them know ahead of time. Before we go further, I just want to make sure I'm going to be clear, and I'm not always as clear as I think I am. So when I'm done here, could you do me a favor and repeat back how you heard it, or tell me what your plan is so that I can make sure we're both on the same page. And that truly is the key, not only to effective communication, it is the number one key to effective delegation, making certain that they are clear of what you want.